So good evening, Facebook, social media, YouTube Live. We are here for another JADASA Live discussion, and we have my friend. I am so excited for Kim Underwood of Joy FM 99 Radio, who is with us tonight, and we want to thank you. Thank you, Kim, for coming on.
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so
Hi.
excited to spend some time with you all tonight.
I know I'm excited. So Facebook, I want you to make sure you go out and share this. Go to JADASA and go to the Facebook page and share it. Also, go to our brand new YouTube channel and subscribe to it, please. JADASA Live. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Also on our Facebook page, either under this one, Cynthia, or you can go to the JADASA Facebook page, and we want you to like the page and share, like it and share. So some of you guys was emailing me and was like, what's Roger? What's Roger? So we're here to talk about just things that we life, things that's thrown at us, that we may be, actually going on about our business, and it's things that may happen that we no fault of our own, but life happens. And so Kim, I'm so excited that you invited me into your private group when this first happened. And I was so excited. I said, I get to be in there and I can pray with her and, just encourage and just on your journey, because, when you're going through stuff, it's just good to have some people support, a support system.
It is.
So tell us, we're here to just talk about, the ups and downs. And, I want you to talk about that, but also I watched you on Facebook and I listen to you. I listen to Joy FM 99 Radio every day. Every day, me and my husband, it stays on there. When we in a rental car, Joy FM 99 Radio, here on the U-Haul truck, Joy FM 99 Radio, we are putting it on that station. But I watched you, and attitude is everything in your healing. When you want to overcoming things, it starts in the mind. We always say, for this mind be in Christ Jesus, we also ask him to keep our mind in perfect peace if we keep it stayed on him and all those things. It's all in the mind, it's all in our thinking. And so I want you to kind of share with the group about Roger, because that happened in August of 2019? Is that when the journey started?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry to say that Roger is not a boyfriend. Roger was a tumor that I named that was on my foot. And in January of 2019, I started noticing I had it diagnosed previously as a cyst. And my podiatrist was like, well, let's just keep watching it. And this was 5 years had gone by, and it was still the same. And then all of a sudden, a year ago, January, it started getting big and kind of hard. And then by the end of February, it had turned into the size of a lime on the top of my foot. So it was kind of like on your ankle, like right here, this part of your ankle. And it was huge. And so I went into my podiatrist and he said, hey, I said, I don't know. I looked down at this thing and I called it Roger. So this is, what are we going to do about Roger here? And he said, well, it has to be removed. Roger has to go away, but only 1% come back cancerous. So you'll be fine. Like, those were his actual words. Don't worry, kiddo. 1% come back cancerous. You'll be fine. And so I had a surgery. They removed Roger. Totally fine. Everything was great. And then about 2 weeks later, I went back in to get the sutures out, and he said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's cancer. It's a sarcoma, and it's a super rare cancer that's very aggressive and can be very deadly if it's not taken care of.
Wow.
So that was not what I was expecting.
I know. So tell me this, when he said that, what was the first thing that went through your mind? I mean,
well,
first, am I really hearing this? I'm pretty sure it was the first one.
It's interesting because, I started crying immediately. But on my drive there, I had heard the song from Mercy Me that is called Even If, and it's based about in Daniel when, he says, God, I know you can save me. I know you can rescue me, but even if you don't, you're still good. And I heard that song, and I said out loud, "Don't you do it, God. Don't you do it." Like, I knew he was preparing me with that song on the way there, and I did not like it. I was so nervous when I got there. And when he told me, it was like just confirming what God started to prepare my heart a half an hour before that. So I started crying, and my doctor, he's just so kind. And he said, this, don't cry. You're going to be okay. But when you hear rare aggressive cancer,
Right.
how do I know that, So, it was scary. But then within a month, he'd already started the ball rolling for me to go to Siteman Cancer Center here in St. Louis, which is one of the top sarcoma hospitals in the country, really. And so that ball was rolling, and within a month, I was having a very invasive surgery.
Oh wow.
So
I remember that when you put it out on your group, on the private group.
So June 6th of 2019, I had a surgery where they took let's see if I can get this to where you can see it. Took part of my arm there. You see
Oh
that?
wow.
And they took nerves and skin from here. And after they removed what they could get of the cancer from my foot, they used my arm to rebuild my foot. So
Really? Oh
my
wow.
arm is now on my leg. And at one point, my arm hair was growing on my leg. It was wild. It was so funny. I was like, I have a new party trick,
Wait, your arm hair was.
It was growing on the top of my foot. And that was a great sign because it meant it was working. Like, everything was taking. But in that after surgery, it was hard. I was in the hospital for a week, but I had to be in a climate controlled room. So I was in an 80-degree room. And if you know me, I don't go camping. I like the air conditioning. I'm a winter girl. So 80 degrees was a little over the top. And then I had what it looked like a big pool mat, like a mattress, and it's called a bear hugger. And they were pumping in 116-degree heat in there and built this huge fort over my leg to make sure the skin flap was taking.
Oh
So I
my
was
God. So you had to lay on that?
for that was over my leg plus the 80 degrees for a week. And the nurses were amazing, and they were changing ice packs for me. And I
So,
mean,
so you felt like you was in a sauna.
it was awful. It was pretty miserable. But God, those are my two favorite words together, but God.
Oh
So
wow, 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 wow. And so, I knew you talked about it, and I know there was some scary touch points going, when you were posted um on the Bye Bye Roger page.
yes.
And and I want you to even talk to the social media about the words we say.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, we always say the Bible says death and life is in the power of the tongue, and he always speak. And we always say, he said, the theologians, death was always said at first in the scripture, because we often speak that first before we speak life,
Yeah.
but you had already created this Facebook group called Bye Bye Roger. So you was already putting in an atmosphere that he was leaving.
Yes, he was leaving. I had no space for Roger. But it doesn't mean that I didn't struggle with it. I'm a generally pretty optimistic person, but I still was scared. There was a lot of fear, and I had to, the verse that talks about taking every thought captive, I had to do that a lot. Like, sometimes when you get in bed and you're just quiet and you're laying there and you're thinking, okay, what's next? And the mind can go a little bit crazy and start pumping fear into you. I had to just be like, stop. This is truth. This is not truth. Where do we go from here? And that space, that Bye Bye Roger Facebook page, was there really to invite people into my story and to get the encouragement and the prayer that I knew I so desperately needed. But um, I just didn't have the energy to reach out and do that one by one. So that's why I created that space, because the treatment was post surgery, and then I had I was non-weight bearing on my whole right side of my body for almost 2 months, and then I started radiation, and then
So you was on a cane or something, or
I had
crutches?
a walker, and I had a special kind of walker that like rested my elbow because I couldn't put weight on my arm because
Oh
I'm
wow.
still learning how to like use my hand again, and
Oh wow.
nothing was the same. Everything was different after that. And so I did the walker for a while, and then I was able to kind of get back to a little more of a normal routine, and that's when I started radiation.
Oh,
So
okay.
last fall was radiation.
So are you done? Are you still?
I'm done. It's kind of interesting. I was supposed to do radiation and then start with chemo, and the chemo that was for my kind of cancer was supposed to be 9 hours a day for 5 days a week,
Wow.
and then 2 weeks to recover, and you do that whole thing 5 times because it's such an aggressive cancer. But the radiation wounds just were not healing because I had so much swelling. So they kept kind of pushing off the chemo, which ended up being a total blessing in disguise because I had a doctor that was, just doing what he was trained to do. He was very keen to amputate my leg, and I just wasn't ready to do that. I didn't feel like that's where we needed to go. So I was able to get into the wound center at Missouri Baptist Hospital, and
Hmm.
I had 10 months of healing on my leg, so that I didn't have to have an amputation. But in between that time, I was also told I didn't need chemo. So that was a huge blessing.
Oh wow. That
Most,
is awesome.
yeah, most people would end up on dialysis after the kind of chemo that I would have. So I'm
Really.
very
And so,
grateful.
just for even the viewers listening, even when you're going through, and I, and we know we have doctors there
Hmm.
for, but they don't have the last say. They don't
No,
have the last word. And I know sometimes we listen to them and we get all, discombobulated and get upset, because they
yeah,
practiced it, but we don't want you to practice on me, but they're practicing medicine.
hmm,
So we just want some of the viewers out there to know, some of you guys may have received a diagnosis that, you wasn't looking for, or, you wasn't expecting. I wouldn't say looking for, you wasn't expecting,
hmm,
or, something, the doctor gave you a bad report, and we know the Bible says whose report you're going to believe. So, you believe the one he says you're healed, and you stood on that. And so it's good to let our viewers know, even though the doctors say one thing, it's okay to get a second and third opinion, and
yeah,
it's okay to still do what they're telling you to do, but
yeah,
you're believing for,
yeah.
you're believing for healing. And so that is really good.
It is. It was an interesting process because we do have, I do believe that God has given wisdom to a lot of men and women in our medical community to help with the healing process. So
Hmm.
I didn't want to discount that because they are trained in the rare cancer that I have. And I also know that God is a healer. Now, not everybody's story ends the way that mine does. My dad passed away from cancer, lung
Oh,
cancer. So, like, I know that there's more than one way to for a story to end, but I just felt like I actually had a doctor say, well, you can pray all you want, but you're not going to heal, so we need to go ahead and move forward with the amputation. And I thought, this is where I have to learn to be my own advocate, and
mm-hmm.
that's a very hard thing to do, is to be an advocate for yourself when you're up against people who have a lot more knowledge than you do. But I had a great support system. I still do. And they helped me be an advocate and then move on to getting the help that I needed, which has led me here with 2 legs, walking, and I'm cancer free. I've been a year cancer free now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And somebody's hearing that. They need to hear that. You have to be your own advocate. Now, even though JADASA, we deal with abuse, and we deal with neglect, and we deal with women, this platform is not just for abuse, it's just to encourage and uplift the women in the community. It started
Yeah.
out when this pandemic
Yeah.
happened. And so we couldn't get to women, so we started the JADASA Live.
Yeah.
And so what you were saying is so important. Anybody out there listening, sometimes you have to be your own advocate.
Mm-hmm.
You have to speak up for yourself. You have to know, this is what I want. I
Mm-hmm.
shall live and not die. We have to speak those things, and sometimes, the human factor comes in. I'm sure we get emotional. We have those days. We're up and down. We're crying or whatever. And we may have our little pity party as well. God, why
Mhm.
me? Or whatever. What did I do? I'm sure. But it's just so important, even just to hear. I mean, those are just a lot of key things that you were even saying as far as, when you're going to the doctor and you're speaking those things and then you're advocating for yourself. And
Mhm.
those things we're asking, but then you also have a support system. And we always talk to the women and the children, you're not in this by yourself.
Mm-mm.
You're not in this by yourself. And even if you may not feel like you have a voice, there is somebody that's willing to be a voice for you.
Yes.
And I just really appreciate that, because I don't think I read that in our little private group, because I've been
Mhm.
reading some of the things, but here that the doctor even told you, pretty much don't even worry about praying about it, because it's a done deal.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people count us out and
Yeah.
say, you're not going to do this, you're not going to be that, you're not going to overcome, you're not going to get out of it. But you have to advocate for yourself and say, I am.
Yes.
Guess what? If his words had penetrated.
Yeah, and it's interesting. My mom was a survivor of domestic violence, and I watched her eventually learn how to advocate for herself and get us out of um, that situation. So while it was still hard for me to want to advocate for myself, because the lies you hear are, well, you're not smart enough, and they have the education and you don't know as much as they do. But the reality is there's something inside of you when like, no, this is the time for you to use your voice. This is the time for you to speak up and say, I'm not okay with that. And I did it through tears because I was very intimidated by the knowledge in the room, but I just thought, I'm not ready to take that as the final answer. So I'm grateful for that. It was hard. It was a learning process, and I know that I will be a much better advocate for myself and for others who don't have a voice moving forward too, because I'm not alone in this.
No, no, and we want our viewers to know you're not alone. And guess what? You're saying that the cancer that you had, it was a rare form, but other people have it, because sarcoma is different. I mean, it's different
Yeah,
strands of it.
there's 50
So,
different.
and what we're doing, we're letting even our viewers know, you're not by yourself.
Mm-hmm,
You're not alone. There are people that have been there and
mm-hmm.
come out of it and can share and can and talk and help bring you out of it, not to feel like oh, it's woe is me and nobody understand. We do understand,
Yeah.
because I may not have been through that, but I may have been through something else,
Yes.
vice versa. Same way with you, but we all have been through something. It's about overcoming,
Mm-hmm.
coming out of the obstacles,
Yes,
because obstacles come and go,
they do.
and what are we going to do about it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the scriptures tell us, like, in this world, you will have trouble. It doesn't say you might
You
occasionally
might.
have. And my counselor, I have an amazing counselor, and she's always said, okay, it's not if you suffer, it's when you suffer. And how are you going to do that? Are you going to do it as a victim, or are you going to suffer victoriously? Because we're all going to suffer. That's
Right.
the deal. But how are we going to do that?
Yeah, so it's just awesome. And I'm gonna link that with the radio, and we're gonna circle back. And um how did that work? I mean, because you're a radio personality, everybody knows Kim Underwood, everybody knows your voice, everybody recognizes your voice and stuff. And so, how did you manage this? Because you were still coming on the radio station. I mean, there was sometimes
Yeah.
were out, and they would say, you were out, but for the most part, you were still on air. You were still the same bubbly person. You could not tell that you were going through. If you were, you hid it very well. And so, what do you tell people who are going through something?
Yeah.
Maybe not a cancer. It could be a cancer or a sickness. It could be abuse. It could be
Yeah.
neglect. It could be divorce. It could be anything that's kind of probably knocked them off kilter.
Sure.
What do you share with them? To know that we all go through, but it's how not we go through it. That's the point. Go through it. Don't stay
Can't go
stuck in
around
it.
it. I always want to go around it, but you just can't. You got to go through it. And, so I would go to radiation in the morning, and then I would come into work after that. And it just was crazy. Like when I look back on it, I think, how in the world did I do that? And I'm grateful. Joy FM is a place for me that my cup is filled when I'm here, even though it's my job. I love my job and I have a lot of fun. And so this was something I look forward to, knowing that after radiation, I could go in and go to work. And I know that there would be people there that would laugh with me and cry with me and, all of those things. So whether it's your workplace or, wherever, surround yourself with people who are going to speak life into you, who are going to pour into you, because there are plenty of seasons where you can pour into them, but this is the season where you need to be poured into, and there's nothing wrong with asking for that, and there's nothing wrong with needing that. We all need that. That is part of how we're wired. We need to be poured into and invested into and loved on. So,
and I like that you said this, everybody has a season to be poured into, and this just happens to be your season.
Yep.
And a lot of times I had to learn that. I've always was I was always the one that tried to fix it, the one, even growing up, I'm a help guy, because he's moving too slow. So let me help. And then I get in there and make a bigger mess, It always happened, and so, but I had to learn, sometimes it's okay to receive, because you can't keep putting out and putting out and putting out. And if you constantly putting out, you become empty if you're not receiving anything. Yeah. And so, this is such a rich conversation. There are so many nuggets that the viewers can just pull out of even what you're saying. Mm. This may be your season to receive.
Yeah.
Open up and don't always feel like you always have to have the answer. Sometimes it's just, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. And it's just so encouraging to hear, to just let them know that, and the thing about it, seasons come and go. They don't last.
Yep.
They don't last. Now, we don't know, it may last. We don't know the duration of the season.
Yeah.
But it does come and go. And so we have to, let our viewers know, it's cyclical. Mm-hmm. It's going to always go in a circle, whatever the season you're in. Just recognize the season you're in. If you need the help, reach out, because we always tell the women, we always, we've been there, been through the abuse and all that stuff. I went through it in my first marriage. And I always tell them, I say, we understand and we're here to help you, but we're not trying to know your business just to know your business. Mm-hmm. We're trying to know your business to help you so you can get out of whatever it is, and it's good to have people to surround yourself. What would you say? Because I know in that type of movement, we're dealing with abuse and stuff, people like to keep it hush hush.
Yeah.
Because it was a stigma to it. Mm-hmm. It was taboo to talk about it, especially. But now people they're coming out. It's so many people have either been through it themselves or grew up in it.
Yep.
It's like, wow. It's almost like, well, who didn't go through it? It's almost, don't ask who went through it. Who didn't go through it? Mm-hmm. Because this thing is really, really big, and so I'm just, I'm still asking you to pray about the Lord.
One thing that my pastor told me early on, I'm really grateful that I'm in a church that teaches the Bible and just loves really well, and my pastor shared with me this story about a man who had hosted a young man from Africa in his home while he was studying over here. And when the man went back to Africa, he said, please, if you're ever my way, then you have to come and meet my family. And he's like, of course. And so this businessman and some of his friends were heading to Africa for business, and they went to visit this young man's home, and there was this massive party that was thrown as a welcome and a thank you and all of these things. And when they left, the taxi driver, they were just, kind of gushing about this celebration that had happened. And the taxi driver said, that probably cost them about a half a year's wages to put that party on. And they were like, oh my gosh, we have to go back. We have to go and pay for that. And he said, no, that would be so insulting. You need to learn to suffer the kindness of other people. And Kevin, my pastor, said, Kim, you're going to need to learn to suffer the kindness of other people in this season, because you like to do everything and get it done. I'm fine. I got it. I can figure it out myself. But I have to learn to suffer the kindness of others. And that has been one of my statement phrases during my cancer season, is learning to suffer the kindness of others. Because who am I to honestly rob somebody? If God has put something on someone's heart to give towards me or whatever. I mean, somebody bought me a mattress because they wanted to make sure I was comfortable to go through chemo. And so, I mean, just things like that. I'm like, a mattress? And somebody else packed my apartment up and moved because I was living on the 3rd floor and I couldn't do the stairs anymore. And they paid to have someone come and move me. And I'm like, okay, this is suffering the kindness of others, because I'm like, oh no, I got it. I'm fine. But I wasn't fine. I needed help. And I just had to get to a place where I'm like, okay, Lord, I understand and I'm grateful.
Yeah. And as Kathy Former saying, suffer the kindness of others.
Yes.
Great nugget. And that is because, I'm going to show it. And then she put it out there.
Hi, Kathy.
So, hi, Kathy. I put your thing in the mail. Just want you to know you should be getting it.
I love Kathy Farmer.
She's sweet, and the thing about it is, we have to realize, suffering the kindness of others. We don't want to feel like we're putting people out.
Yes, like I'm a burden. I was told I was a burden. So if I need your help, then I'm being a burden to you, and that's not the truth.
Right, because actually they're blessed. We're blocking when someone tries to bless us. Because of pride, or we think we're doing them a favor. We're actually hurting them. We're actually blocking their blessing. And so I'm anybody Facebook, social media. If you guys want to bless JADASA, I am not going to block it. Okay.
No blocking the blessing. She will learn to suffer the kindness of you.
Right. I am not going to block it, because we have so many women and children that we have to help. So many out there. And we actually getting ready to start a new program with girls. I can't wait to pitch that to you and talk to you about it later. But I'm excited. I've been kind of thinking with this pandemic, because I've been sitting in the house. So,
Yes.
So this kind of been twirling a little bit and stuff like that. So I'm just excited. So Facebook, if you just come on, YouTube, if you just come on, we are here talking with Kim Underwood of Joy FM 99 Radio. That's the #1 radio in St. Louis. That's the #1 radio in me and my husband's book. That's the only station we listen to. So I'm just honored. Yeah, the Kim is here. And Kim, so what are your hours? You're in the evening or the afternoon, right?
My show is from 2 until 7. Little radio magic here is the 6 to 7 o'clock hour is recorded, so we're not live.
I'm like, wait a minute, 6 to 7. What are we doing? How is this working?
Yeah, but we all have other jobs that we do here besides our on-air job. So when I'm not on the air, I do the graphic design for Minute in the Word and for Daily Boost, which is our sister station. So all those that get sent out, I do the images for that. And then kind of whatever else anybody needs. I help with the app, and I do, all kinds of different things. But I just, May was 13 years I've been at Joy FM.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. I saw Sandy for the first time. I saw what she looked like for the first time. Because the last time we came out there, Sandy was sick.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. She's amazing.
Is she? Oh my gosh. She sounds like it.
Yeah. To have such an incredible woman as a mentor and a friend. I mean, man, I hit the jackpot there. She's incredible.
Oh, you did. So, so was that like when you was growing up? Oh my God, I want to be in radio when I get up. Was it that tight, or you just fell in it, or what happened?
It's kind of funny. I was always kind of a radio nerd. I loved the radio, and I'd always have questions like, we get out of the car, we come back like, why can't I hear the rest of the song? And I wanted to hear the song that was playing before, but I always thought I would go into TV. I really wanted to take Joan London from Good Morning America. I'm like, she has blonde hair and brown eyes, and so do I.
think we kind of tell our age.
Yeah, I love Joan London. So I kind of thought TV was a path that I would go. And then I got into it a little bit, and I didn't really care for it. And I started to go to college and majored in music business, and I didn't really care for college either. So I came home and I started working at a Christian bookstore where I'm from in the Champaign, Illinois area.
Oh, okay. Up there by Champaign. Is that by Chicago, or
2 hours south of Chicago?
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone feels like it always seems like everything's Chicago, but there's a section.
Is that where U of I? I mean, okay.
Illinois is there.
Yeah.
So I started working at this Christian bookstore there, and then they ended up, it was a family-owned store, and they sold the store to family Christian stores.
Yeah.
And I eventually became the manager of that store, and then eventually transferred here to St. Louis to the store at Chesterfield Mall. And I worked there for probably 5 years or so. And one of my regular customers was and still is on the board at Joy FM. And so we would just always talk music, and she said, oh, you should call Sandy, just, you never know if they're looking for somebody. And I thought, I don't know. I was pretty miserable at that point because retail is just a hard life. Anybody who's worked retail, it's a hard life. But I was good at it. So I thought, well, and I don't have a college degree, so I'm probably just kind of stuck. And then when I went home that weekend to visit my mom, I believe, No, I know. My mom had already passed away. I'd gone home that weekend, and my pastor at home had said, when Paul went back to Tarsus, he wasn't banging down doors and handing out resumes. He was building his tents while God was preparing ministry for him. And I thought, I have a really good ministry in the bookstore. People come in and they're hurting, and I can help meet a need, whether it's a song or a devotional or help someone get their first Bible, and just the conversations I would have with customers. It was just really valuable. And so I thought, I'm just going to keep building my tents. And then a few weeks later, Sandy called me and said, hey, I heard you met, this board member. Mm-hmm. And I started part-time, and then eventually came on full-time, and I've been here 13 years.
Awesome. That's an awesome story. That's wonderful. I mean, they are doing a lot in the community, because you guys just did a coat drive or something at Chick-fil-A.
Weekend. Yep.
Yeah. Well, before I heard them say it's on a Sunday, I'm like, Chick-fil-A on a Sunday? What are they doing?
That's why we could do it, because they were closed.
So right. That's what I was thinking. They open on Sundays?
No, we
go over there and give me a salad
for winter's warm up, or Warner's warm up. Mm-hmm. So it's 3,000 people in St. Louis will have a coat this year.
Oh, wow. Is that for Kirk Warner?
Yep. For his organization that he does, they do that big coat drive every year.
Mm-hmm. So Kim, we had the virtual race this year, of course,
Yes.
And so, we went out to, we're at Creve Coeur,
mm-hmm.
But I remember the year you and Kathy came to the race when it was in Ferguson. That he
tried to kill me on that hill. That was so hard. I was like, I don't think I can finish this.
Oh my God. So we were talking about it. People was like, even runners, not Ferguson. Though it is too hilly in Ferguson. I mean, I had one lady, I had her medal, and I kept saying, now I just saw her come down the hill. Where is she? She came and walked right to her car and got up her car and drove. She didn't come to the finish line. She said, I am not going down that hill to go back up there.
No, that is so funny. I mean, I promise you the reason I didn't come last year was because of my foot. But
Oh,
creep core, that is the way to go because it's flat.
yes, yes. I love creep core, but I mean, it's ironic. I said, really, really, God, the last 3 or 4 years we were at creep core, it was, when I say freezing.
Oh, really?
And so when we're out there at like 6 a.m., 5:30, 6 a.m.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
pitch black out
Yes,
there. We got water. And
yes.
so we got phones and flashlight putting up stuff. This year, we did not go to Creep Court because of the pandemic. It was what? Almost 80 degrees.
I know, it was gorgeous. It was
Right. I'm
beautiful.
like, where
Yeah,
were you last year?
I know. We were supposed to, I do that. Well, the sarcoma run is out there also.
Is
And
it? Okay.
same thing. It was,
It's the week. I think it's the week before ours. Isn't it the first Saturday?
I believe it is. It
Or
just
it's on a
happened in
Sunday?
October. Yeah, it's a Sunday.
Okay, it's a Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said, oh, Kim's going to be out here. So I missed you guys and stuff, but I thought about it was so fun. I said, I think we ran Kim away.
No,
I think these heels did it for Kim.
no, I'll tell you, those hills were hard, but it was so fun. And, I knew the minute that I met you when you walked into Joy FM that we were going to be friends. I just thought, I love this lady. She's awesome. I love what you
Thank
guys
you,
are
thank
doing to help
you,
women and girls in the St. Louis area. It's important work what you do.
thank you. Yeah, it's a lot. It's rewarding. And I tell people a lot of times we won't see the fruit. We'll plant it, and maybe somebody will, of course, water it down the line. Of course, we know God gets the increase,
Yep.
but a lot of times we don't see that. All we know is we're just planting and moving them forward so they can go on a better. Maybe sometimes somebody will come back and say, oh, you really help. So, or you know what, I get one of my human emotions like, what am I doing,
Sure.
and then I will get a text or email, or I would see somebody and they would say, you know what, that is what you're really doing. You are really helping the women. I mean, it's just that one word of
Yep.
encouragement that was get me to keep going, because I would be kind of deflated a little bit or whatever, and thinking, okay, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And so I'm excited. You know, I'm just excited for where it's going, and who would have known this would have been. Actually, 2 weeks ago we had Ruth Glenn
Oh,
on, and she is the CEO of the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence.
wow.
And she came on and she giving us some nuggets and stuff like that. And I was like, God is just really opening doors and positioning
Yeah.
us to, because we can't do it by ourselves. No one organization can do it by itself. This thing is so massive. It's global.
Yes.
It's diabolic. You
Yes.
know, think about that. I was thinking about it one day. I was doing a study. I was actually teaching on Tamar.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wow, I'm like, David, her dad ignored her because he was the king. He didn't pay attention. Her brother raped her.
Hmm.
And the other brother told her to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Isn't it like they tell us today
Yeah.
in the family?
Hmm.
What stays in the house or happens in the house, that isn't like that. And then the Bible said she died desolate.
Yeah.
She died desolate because she didn't have nobody to advocate for her.
Hmm.
She had nobody to talk to. Nobody spoke up for her. The Bible says she died barren and desperate. She didn't produce.
And
And
somehow it was her fault, but it's not. That's not the truth. And
no,
now we believe, well, that it's our fault and we can't speak up, but that's not true.
no, it's not true. And I tell the women all the times, open your mouth, say something, because a lot of times and I'm putting myself in that category. We always try to take the blame. Well, if I hadn't have done this, they
Right.
would have done that. No, and I always tell the women, no, they own that abuse. What
Yes.
you're doing is you're taking the responsibility away from them to be responsible. No,
Yeah.
you own that abuse. You did it. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have put your hands on me or whatever. You own that abuse. So because we constantly always want to cover and
Hmm.
we don't allow them to take responsibilities because
Yeah.
they don't a lot of times. A lot
Yeah.
of times they don't. And I thought about that story, and that was just like a eye opener. I'm like, God, I'm like,
Wow.
this has been around way back,
Since the beginning. Yeah.
way
Wow.
back.
Wow.
How, just the way she just didn't get help. Nobody advocated, nobody talked about, nobody helped her. She was
Yeah.
ignored, she was neglected, she was abandoned.
Mm.
And that's like, and so that's why a lot of people we feel that goes through this today. Don't be, you're not neglected.
Yeah.
We're going to advocate for you.
Mhm.
We want you to live life again, to
Yes.
produce. In other words, in my estimation, when it says she died barren and desolate, that means she had no life.
Yeah.
She wasn't producing, she was just there.
Yeah. Especially in that culture when producing a child was how you gained your value.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So
right,
that makes a lot of sense.
right. But even in this days, producing, not being productive with
Right.
anything.
Right.
Not birthing anything into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so that was an eye opener for me. And but I'm so glad we're talking about this. And you just, like I said, I knew it was the reason why God told me drop you in my spirit about being on the board and just asking you and stuff. But I didn't know that you grew up in that. You
I
know,
did. My dad was just a really broken man, and he was very much an alcoholic. And I saw him put a gun to my mom's head in front
oh
of
wow,
me at 6 years old. And thankfully, he and my mom both became believers, and I know where they are now. And I ended up having a good relationship with both of my parents, which is not always the case. I understand that, but that it was only really through counseling that helped me be able to forgive and accept their brokenness. Because I was just sharing this the other day that I had this expectation that I wanted them to love me here, but they were only capable of loving me here. So I had
hmm,
to kind of find a way to manage that
that
that the gap, yeah, in the middle, and it's a hard thing to do.
Oh wow. Now, see, that's a message right there, Kim.
Hmm.
I gotta love me in the gap.
Oh, it's hard.
I
I
mean, oh
try to
my
make
God.
peace with the
You know
middle.
what? That's gonna help a lot of women. I want you to love me here, but you can only love me here.
So what do we
So
do with that in between? You got to make peace with that in between.
wow. Wow. I just actually talked to some couple of women about that. And they was talking about, it wasn't about abuse, but just marriage issues.
Yeah,
And they was like, well, this, I need him to do this. But it wasn't like they were living up to their expectations. Like
sure.
their expectation might be high. And so you're right. If you're going to be happy, if you're going to be content, what are you going to do with that gap?
Yeah.
Because if
You just
their
you don't have
capabilities are
it.
here, it don't necessarily, but you know what, I like what you said, what to do in the middle. You never said you lowered your standards.
Right.
You stayed up here, they stayed here, and you took up the slack, or you did
Yeah.
something with the gap versus you moving down to where they were. That is
Hmm.
really powerful.
Well, I'll tell you again. I have an amazing counselor, and when she gave me that word, that advice, I really took that to heart and spent some time like learning how to, in this instance specifically, love my mom through that gap. And when I did, I had a really sweet and fun time with her at this one specific thing. And then 2 weeks later, she was gone. She passed away suddenly. So I'm really
Wow.
grateful. Like my dad died in May of '04, and then he was sick. He had lung cancer. Then my mom died actually in a house fire in March of '05. So just
Really?
months later, yeah. So it was a crazy year, but I
Oh,
had
wow.
amazing counseling, and I've
You have siblings?
been through it. I promise. I'm not just talking. I've been through it.
You have siblings?
No. Mm-mm.
You're an only child, Kim?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But you know what? God sustains you for this.
That's right. But God.
He sustains you for this. You're right. I'm so glad we met. Even like I said, what was it, about 4 or 5 years ago when we
Yeah,
was at the station, and I was like, and my husband was with. We were all there, and I said,
I remember right there in the lobby.
yeah, yeah. So I'm excited about this. So, guys, we're here talking about Roger and radio, and not just about these subjects. It's about overcoming. What do you
Yeah,
do? Kim has given us so many nuggets, so many things to think about. That's even helping me. Now I want me, my husband. I need you to do this, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it.
well, I'll tell you, I'm single, so it's easy for me to say that as a single girl, but it did help me in my relationship with my mom, which
Yeah,
was struggling.
right.
So,
And
yeah,
and that takes a lot for you to even say that.
yeah,
That you
hard.
struggle with relationships, not even with your mom. Not even just with relationships, because the relationships affects relationship.
Yeah,
If we can't have this horizontal relationship, how can we have this vertical relationship
yeah,
with God? How can this be so intact when
mhm.
this is shambles?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that love, we want this, we especially now in our society and our culture, we talk about, as believers, we need to have this, but if this is so crazy, how does that what's appealing about that? What makes somebody, look at you if they see how you treat people this way and think, well, why would I want a relationship with God if that's what it looks like? I mean,
Right, right. And you're giving a bad witness.
yeah, yeah,
Because
sure.
they're like, okay, no,
Mhm.
I'm okay. They
Yeah.
may not be okay, but they in their mind they're okay.
And
And
none of
so
us
we have
do
to,
it perfectly. I mean, that's just reality of life. But we can do our best, and when we mess up, say, "Oh, I totally blew it. I'm sorry. Let's
yeah,
just try this again."
and be okay with saying that we messed up, because
Yeah.
everybody messes up.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's perfect. We
No.
all mess up, but even with that, talk about just the overcoming piece, not even just with Roger, but setbacks.
Hmm.
So we got women here that's talking about the setbacks of you know that's good, the relationship, the peace with families. We have issues with families.
Oh
Not it's not necessarily intimate partner
yeah.
abuse,
Hmm.
but it's also abuse. And I have ran across this, and this is just really bothers me. This elderly abuse.
Oh
This,
yeah.
that,
Hmm.
you know,
That's
I said
awful.
I need a little more thick skin for
Mm.
that one, because that bothers me.
Yes.
That the elderly,
Yes.
they lived life, they dealt with stuff, they put up with stuff,
Hmm.
and they raised kids, and then the grandkids,
Yeah.
and they didn't turn around and try to treat them as if they the kids and they the adult, and
Yeah.
it's rough.
It
It's
is.
rough. It's disheartening. It's disheartening. That's why I tell people abuse, neglect, all those things, overcoming stuff is diabolical. We have to get in our minds, and we have to speak those things and put them in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Speak it in the atmosphere. We're speaking spirits. We speak it in the atmosphere. With whatever we want our day to be, whatever we want our outcome to be, we have to speak it no matter how we feel. There has been times I would be boo-hoo and crying, just tears all just everywhere. And I'm like, I still believe God.
Yes.
But I
And
will,
if not, he's still good.
yes, yes,
Yes.
I still believe God.
Yeah.
Even though everything, it was like horrible for me to feel, but even in my tears, I knew the enemy was listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept saying, I still believe God. And in my mind, I was like, take that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Like we have to do that. It's funny. I think one of the big lessons I've learned this year is going through cancer is that um, whether I get what I want or not in the outcome, that does not change who God is and his goodness and his character. So whether my cancer comes back, if my cancer comes back, God is still good. If it never comes back, God is still good. And that's a hard place to get because I think I tend to tie his goodness with, did I get what I want? Did the outcome turn out the way I think it should have? And it has nothing to do with that.
Right, right, and that's so good to know. And Kim, I am so glad that you had time. Because I didn't even know you was going to have time to do it, and but you made time, and I appreciate it. And the ladies that's been watching the comments I've been seeing out here, I appreciate it because you have dropped a lot of nuggets. You have shared. You have become, you have been transparent all along anyway, even
Thank
with the Bye Bye Roger on the group, because you
Yeah.
shared your journey, you shared your fears, you
Mhm.
shared your victories, because you wanted people to see, hey, this can happen to anybody, but it's how you go through something. It's
Yeah.
how you go through it. And like you said, we're going to have issues and we're going to have trials and tribulations, but he already told us we were overcomers.
Yeah.
We just have to believe it,
Yeah.
you know. And so, what is? Just give us a couple of things. What would you just like to share with the ladies, and then we'll close it out.
I do I want to share with you. I found this poem the other day that somebody had posted while they were in a devotion. It was part of their devotional, and I just would love to read this to you because
Okay.
I thought it was so powerful and something that we can all take something from. It says, you are who you are for a reason. You're part of an intricate plan. You're a precious and perfect, unique design called God's special woman or man. You look like you look for a reason. Our God made no mistake. He knit you together within the womb. You're just what he wanted to make. The parents you had were the ones he had chose, and no matter how you may feel, they were custom designed with God's plan in mind, and they bear the master's seal. No, the trauma that you faced was not easy, and God wept that it hurt you so, but it was allowed to shape your heart so that into his likeness you'd grow. You are who you are for a reason. You've been formed by the master's rod. You are who you are, beloved, because there is a God.
That is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
I read
Thank
that
you.
and that was like, whoa, that was powerful. I needed that.
I needed that. I needed that. We are enough. God is telling us we
Yes,
are enough. I
yes,
thank you. Viewers, with that, what she's saying, God is saying you are enough. But if you don't remember or get anything out of this, I want you to remember what Kim said. If they love you here and you need them to love you here, you find ways to make up that gap, but don't lower it. That
Mhm.
was powerful, Kim.
Well,
Powerful.
thank you.
Mary said, yes, we are enough. Beautiful poem.
Amen.
So I appreciate it. So Facebook, social media, what is it? YouTube Live.
Yes.
We thank you for tonight. We are glad that you took the time to come out and be a part of this event, the part of this talk show, this discussion. We have many more, and you're gonna be seeing more of Kim because we are really working on something together, and Kim is praying about it, and I'm
I am
praying about
praying. I am. I promised you that I would, and I am.
it.
Cynthia, thank you so much for allowing me to come and be a part. Like I told you before, what happens in your ministry is important. You help women and maybe men too, but get free. And freedom is where Christ wants us in his
Yes,
freedom. So
yes.
thank you for what you're doing. I'm gonna try not to cry. I love you.
Oh,
I appreciate you, what you're doing.
oh, thank you, Lord. You're gonna make me cry too. We're gonna have to be on the air crying together.
I'm a
So
crier.
this is my friend, you guys. This is Kim Underwood with Joy FM 99 Radio. Be sure to tune in live every day between 2 and 7 o'clock, especially 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. to listen to Kim. You will hear her voice on there because we want those ratings to continue to shoot higher and higher and higher. So with that being said, I want you to have a good night.
Thank you. You as well. Good night.
Oh, okay. Well, wait a minute. Don't go, Kim.
I won't.
Okay, so we want. I was trying to get my intro.